Magandang araw sa lahat ng mga nanonood ngayon sa aking video at sa mga bagong subscriber, huwag kalimutang i-like, i-share at saka i-subscribe para magiging updated kayo sa mga bagong video na ating i-upload. Okay, the topic that we are going to discuss today is about interpreting data in a pie graph. Okay, before we will go to the main subject matter of this video, let's first review on changing percent to decimals. This is found in your activity What's in page 3 and 4 of your module. Okay, activity A, direction. Convert each percent as decimal numbers. Write the correct answer in your notebook. Now, changing percent to decimal using the long method, we will multiply it by we will divide it by 100 so that we'll be able to get the equivalent in decimal form. But in shortcut method, we simply have to count two places from right to left, then place the decimal point, then we have to remove the percent sign. Okay, that is doing the shortcut method. That's why when you have 25%, count two places from right to left, then put the decimal point. So we have 28 hundredths or 0.28. For number 2, 72%, count two places from right to left, we have 72 hundredths or 0.72. 35% becomes 0.35 or 35 hundredths. 5%, count two places from right to left, so we lack one decimal place, so we add 0, so we have 0.05 or 5 hundredths. This is now for the changing of percent to decimal. Activity B in your What's in page 4, we have direction. Solve the value of the following. Write the correct answer in your notebook. So we have finding the percentage of a number. So if we are to solve for this one, we have the formula percentage is equals to base times rate, but this time I will introduce a shortcut method of finding the percentage of a number. So we have 20%. We will have to convert this first to decimal number before doing the multiplication. So we have 20 hundredths times 98. 15% becomes 0.15 times 150. 30% becomes 30 hundredths times 300. 45% becomes 0.45 or 45 hundredths times 250. So let's now go to the solution on the next page. Okay, let's now answer page 3 or page 4 of your module. Okay, activity B. We have finding the percentage of a number. Now we have a formula to be followed. Percentage is equal to base times rate. But this time, I will introduce to you another way of solving this one, a shortcut way of solving this one. So we have 20% times 98. So we could not multiply 20% to 98 because this is in percent form. So we will change this into decimal. Changing decimal, a percent to decimal, we just simply count two places from right to left and place the percent sign, decimal point. So we have 0 and 2, count two places, we place the decimal point, drop the percent sign. So we have multiplied to 98. So in this situation class, we can do the multiplication right away. We don't need to have it in a vertical way of multiplication. You can multiply it right away. We disregard 0 because 0 will always be 0 when you multiply it in any number. 2 times 8, we have 16, carry 1. 2 times 9, 18 plus 1, we have 19. So, we will just carry over the 0. So, we have 0. So, count the decimal point, decimal places, 1, 2, and 1, 2. This is now your answer. Without doing in a long method of multiplication. So let's go number 2. 15% multiplied to 150. Change to decimal, so this will become 1500. Count to places from right to left, increase the decimal point, drop the percent sign, times 150. Okay, again, in multiplication with zeros, we will omit zero and we will just write that in our final product. So this will only be 15 times 15. So we can apply shortcut. And shortcut method that I have teach you a while in my previous video. Okay, so we have last two digit is 25. Okay, we will add 1 to our second digit. This becomes 2. 2 times 1 will only be 2. So this is our answer. We add 0. Yung 0 dito, i-add natin. So we count 2 pieces. 1, 1, 2. So our answer should have been 22.50. Because we will have to count to zeros because we have 2 decimal digit. 1, 2. So we will put the decimal point in this column after the 5. So this is now using the shortcut method. Okay, let's go items number 3. 30% times 300. Change to decimal, this will become 30 hundreds or 0.30 multiplied to 300. So we don't need to change this into its vertical way of multiplication. You can multiply here right away. So 3 times 3 will give us 9. Just carry all the zeros. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Count the decimal places in your multiplicand. 1, 2, 1, 2. So this is now your final answer without doing in the long methods. So as what I told you, if it is possible to apply shortcut, then apply shortcut. Let's go items number 4. 45% times 250. So this will now becomes 0.45 or 45 hundreds multiplied to 250. So instead of multiplying 45 times 250, we'll only multiply 45 times 25. We will omit 0 because we will just bring that to your final product. So you will multiply 45 times 250, but we will exclude 0 in our multiplication. So we have 25, here ito, cross multiply, we have 20, and we have 10, so 20 plus 10, 30 plus 2, 32, carry 3. Okay, 2 times 4, 8, plus 3, 11. We have 11, then bring down 0, then count the decimal point of places, 1, 2, 1, 2. So our answer is 112.50. So this is how simply shortcut is applied. So we can apply shortcut in any situation wherein it is applicable. So we are now through with the activity. So let's now go to the subject matter, which is interpreting a pie graph. Now how to interpret a pie graph? So to interpret a pie graph, we should understand percentages. As you have seen in the previous example, we have data in our pie graph presented by means of percentage. That's why we need to know and understand percentages. Pie graphs often label with segment with percentages. Each segment or each sector is being labeled with percentages. Okay, we have this pie graph presented in our module. This is a graph showing the distribution of overseas Filipino workers in 6 continents of the world. So by the graph itself, we can already see how the distribution of overseas Filipino workers are being done through the pie graph. So this is one way of interpreting our pie graph by knowing the percentages presented. Okay, so first question that we have to answer, and we will try to analyze and interpret the data on the circle graph. A. Which continent has the largest number of OFW? So looking at the graph itself, we can already find which continent contains the largest number of OFW. It is clearly shown on the graph itself. So we have Asia is the largest number of OFWs. Okay, for question letter B. What percent of OFW are working in Australia? So we will try to look at the sector wherein Australia is being shown. So as you can see, we have 2% of the OFW are working in Australia. Okay, we will go to question letter C. Which continent has the 7% of the total number of OFWs? Okay, so looking at the graph, so we can see that in Europe there are 7% of the total number of OFWs. So if we are only to look on the graph itself, all these questions will be answered immediately. Okay, we'll go question letter D. What continents have the same total number of OFWs? So we will again look at the graph. Which or what continents have the same total number of OFWs? So we have Africa and Australia, which have the same number of OFW. They both have 2% or equivalent to 46,000 OFWs. So how did we get 46,000? So we have 2% multiplied to 2.3 million, which is the total estimated OFWs around the world. Okay, let us now go to our next activity in your module. But before that, I would like you to read again the ways and the methods how to interpret a graph. Okay, we have now in your screen the pie graph titled Family Income of 10,000. Now, shows in the graph the data where the family income is being distributed as follows. So 20% for education, shelter 25%, 30% for food, 15% for savings, and 10% for others. So this is how the income of the family is being distributed and being presented in a pie graph. So let us now try to interpret this data, and we will be able to interpret that one by answering the question on this activity. Okay, let us answer question number 1. Which item has the biggest allocation? So we will look again to our pie graph, and as we can see directly on the pie graph, we can immediately have our answers because the illustration itself shows which item has the biggest allocation. So we have food, which is equivalent to 30%. Okay, let's go to the second question. How much is the budget for food? So upon looking at the pie graph, we have seen that the biggest allocation was given to food. Now the question is, how much is the budget for food? Now let's go now to our computation of how to find for the budget for food. Okay, let's now solve for the allocation for food. Okay, so how much is the allocation for food? We have 30%. So what will be our base in computation? So 30% of what? So 30% of the family income. How much is the family income? You have 10,000. So we have to get 30% of 10,000 to get the allocation or budget for food. Now, so again we will change percent to decimal. This becomes 30 hundredths or 0.30. Of in mathematics class signifies multiplication. So take note of that. So times 10,000. Okay. So we multiply. Can we apply shortcut? Very big yes. There is only one whole number, 3 and 1. So do we need to do the vertical way of multiplication? No need, because 3 and 1 is the only whole number. So we multiply 3 times 1. The result is 3. How about the zeros? Copy 3 zeros, 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count decimal pieces. 1, 2, 1, 2. So our answer is 3,000 pesos is the budget allocated for food. So this is the budget allocated for food. Every time there is a possibility that you can apply shortcut, then apply shortcut so that you can save time. Okay. Okay, next we have number 3. Which item has the least allocation? What do you mean by least allocation? The smallest, the one that is given the least allocation. We have look at the pie graph. Which of which we have allocation for others? Which item has the least allocation? Okay, if you look at the graph, we find others has the least allocation of only 10%. So if others has the least allocation of 10%, how much was that amount? If you are asked how much is that amount, okay, so if we will have to solve for allocation for others, you have 10% of, again, 10,000. Why 10,000? It is the budget of the family. So we will have to find the allocation by multiplying 10% to 10,000. So 10% becomes 10 hundredths or 0.10. Of means multiplication. So we have 10,000. Okay, we do the multiplication. Do we need to do it in a vertical manner? No need. We can multiply right away in this position. 1 times 1 will have 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 zeros. Copy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 zeros. We have count the decimal pieces. 1, 2, 1, 2. Then put, we have, how much do we have? 1,000. 1,000 is for what? Budget for others. Okay. So, tapos ang ating problema. Okay. Next. Okay. Question number 4. How much is spent for savings? So, again, looking on the graph, we have savings. How many percent? 15%. Now, we are asked for the amount. How much is spent for savings? So, let us now solve again. Okay. Next, number 4. How much is spent for savings? So, how much is spent for savings? In the graph, if we were to look at it, we have 15%. So, 15% of what? Okay, the same. 15% of 10,000 is the allocation for savings. Ano may itong savings? Savings, yung iniipon ng pamilya para sa mga special needs in the future. Okay, so we will compute now. 15 becomes 15 hundreds or 0.15 when changed to decimal. Then multiply again to 10,000. Okay. So, is there any possibility that you can apply shortcut? Very big yes. Why? We have only 15 and we have only 1. Well, how about 0, sir? 0 again will be carried on to the final product. So, 15 times 1 will always be the same. So, copy 15. Add the 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. 4 pala. 4 zeros. 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, count the decimal places. 1, 2, 1,